If you let me just interrupt you there a minute, perhaps there's a new twist or a new development for us, for instance, that can actually help you expose more on this. We understand that the lady, Binta Masi Garba, is not a member of the Assembly. She was a former member of the Assembly. So she's not a serving member of the Assembly. But the man she fought is a serving member of the Assembly. So now if we're talking about immunity and non-immunity, it's like an outsider coming to the Assembly to assault representatives.
Well, to sound comical about that is to say, well, I think once you approach that hallowed, in quote now, chambers of the National Assembly, you are immediately caught with the spirit of violence. But the thing is that I think you also will appreciate that once you get there, you also understand part of the rules. Part of the rules also includes physical capacity to push forward whatever you are saying. And no longer the force of logic that makes debate and parliamentary activities not just robust but very, very interesting. The fact that she was a former member also explains it to us. That, well, she had been effectively indoctrinated. She understands the language. And these are some of the members, the overpopulated members of the National Assembly, that you probably have not heard about their input, you know, regarding any debate or whatever. This is with due respect to her. I am not too familiar with that personage. But the truth is that what plays out these days clearly tells the ordinary Nigerian that we are on our own. You simply would need perhaps a fundamental shake-up to begin to redirect the attitude of our people and the disposition of our elected members to deal with the concern of the Nigerian people. I like to land this way. Even the Baraje visit and the whole, I had the privilege of putting up an article immediately that thing happened, both on the 30th of August. And the title of that article was PDP's Implosion, Nigeria's Greatest Dividend of Raw Power Play. You ask me, why is this whole thing not just a PDP family affair, as they want to always put it? How much of the Nigerian question and concerns reflects in the demand of this splinter group? Issues like recall of Governor Amechi, questions like we should not be prosecuted by EFCC. They should stop the investigation of our financial impropriety. Issues like Tuko must leave. And so where are the questions, the very, very crying questions that we are faced with? Where is the issue of creation of job? What of the collapse of the educational institution as reflected in the continuing strike action?
So you said the demands are selfish?
I mean, they are misplacement of priorities. They don't concern us. They're completely alienated from the concern of the Nigerian people.
Isn't that why they have maintained that it's strictly a family affair?
As a matter of fact, and this is partly agreeing with you, what actually happens is that you have, don't mind my language, these are capoons of the buccaneering group who understands that the language is that you must raise the stake now. The issues of threat and blackmail must play out in each full throttle. And then you must find a way of sustaining that heat such that when the price is right, they will all come back. That was why, immediately after the breakout, the next day, 4 out of the 7 governors were at the presidential villa for a reconciliatory meeting. As of 2 days ago, this time around, led by, we all saw the Niger State governor reading out the progress meeting. You had more than 7. There were 8 governors. And so that will tell you what is going on. That there is no, after all, why is their name not any other thing other than New PDP?
So you think you should have left the party?
It is because they intend to come back. You only need to give these people the language that they understand. That's all.
What can we say about the political temperament of, say, the president or the executive arm of government in all of this? Because in the wake of all these developments, you still have to keep calm and ensure that, look, governance doesn't suffer. Because at the end of the day, it is the purpose of governance. That's what the people put you there in the first place.
Well, I'm not too sure. I'm actually in two minds whether to credit the presidency with all the sagacity, the maturity required to deal with this kind of situation. On the one hand, I see, but that is not too different from the person of Goodluck, President Goodluck Jonathan. He is meek. He has a disposition that speaks to peace. That is the perception. He has an attitude that, don't move towards rocking the boat. He's a listening president.
Is that what you see apparently? Because some people
no, I was one of those. I'm from Delta State, but I was one of those who was very vocal against the election of President Jonathan. Because, like I did say on air here, that I trekked with my wife from Festac to Surere to vote against him, even if we knew he would win. Now, what I meant by that is that I had tried to understand this man even before the election. And we have, golden opportunity to do that assessment. He was once a teacher. He was once a deputy director in Padec. He was once a lecturer in Uniport, very briefly. He was also a deputy governor. He was a governor. He was a vice president. He was an acting president. If he had vibes to turn around the fortunes of this country, we would have known. And so when you credit him with peaceful disposition in times of turbulent moments, no. I remember Chief Ganifa used to tell us, yes, we need peace, but we don't want the peace of poverty. Neither do we want the stability of starvation.
The reason I'm asking that, I mean, you've talked about his mien, as it were, a lot about his bearing, which a lot of people will agree with you was correct. But some people will say that do not mistake that meekness, for being stupid or for weakness.
You could.
And that underneath all of that, there's a steely resolve. So I'm asking you, is it from what you have seen in terms of his apparent carriage or behavior or the way even he speaks? Or is it something that he's done that you're using to, the way he's handled certain situations that makes you think that, that is his disposition? It's always
you remember that my first phrase was that I was in two minds, whether to arrogate this to him or to take it away from him. Now, I have talked about what I know, but the truth, which is the other side of the argument, is that, and you are correct, behind him is a pent-up ambition that has completely eroded all of what the picture I'm trying to paint about him.
That is also what you sense. Because some people will say that, some people will argue that the fact that this country has been together, even for the period that he's been there, I mean, that it only takes somebody with a steely resolve. I mean, we had Boko Haram. Remember the crisis that even saw his coming into power, and through it all, he was quiet. I mean, it would seem that there was a will not to, yield to public, because I heard some people would have wondered, why he wasn't noisy about, it was his right to be acting president.
Don't forget that his name is Goodluck. The element of luck, and that is unfortunate if we are going to rely entirely on the element of luck in the administration of an entire nation. But I think that a number of factors are conspiring to make his continued stay and the capacity to hold on the country together a possibility. But the issue is, what manner of country do we have today where, for instance, a senior advocate of Nigeria is kidnapped, and the police comes out after the release, because many Nigerians were not paying attention to that, to say we actually knew where he was, but because of the viciousness of the kidnappers, we were sure we weren't going to make any move, rather than hoping against hopes that he will come out unhurt. I hope you heard that. It was all reported. For me,
But isn't that true?
For me, for me, that was the end of security.
How?
3 days ago, in New York, you lost more than that in terms of the shootings. Did the police or the security agencies over there put an end to efforts?
In Washington, yeah.
Yes, in Washington, sorry about that. Did they put an end to their activities simply because they considered these are security issues, we understand. But the fact that the police could come out and make such a heavy statement in the circumstances that it was made tells me that that was the end of security. We are just on our own in this country. It is for that reason that an Attorney General of the Federation, God bless his soul, Chief Bola Ige, was murdered in this country, and up to this moment, nothing is heard about it.
But are we being fair to the police? I mean, let's be fair in our analysis of that. Yes, in some cases there have been challenges, but in some other cases there are daily people who are risking their lives in very difficult circumstances to at least give us a measure of protection.
Well, I don't want... Look, I have a lot of friends from the IG, and they know it, including the spokesperson. We are good friends. But that will not detract from my objective views when it comes to issues concerning the police.
That's the police, I mean, but you talked about security.
Oh, well, to the extent that the police is the immediate provides the immediate security under the Constitution. I like to start from there. The entire country is such that we had, and that was why I went to court when the issue of tinted glass, broke out. To say, look, it is not just ramming these policies down our throat. It is to appreciate that the whole business of security in this country has actually collapsed. I sympathize with whoever superintends the entire affairs of policing in the country today, because often than not, they come out clearly to tell you about the challenges that not just overwhelm them, but incapacitate them in the discharge of their function. Don't forget it was the same...
And those are realistic challenges.
Don't forget it was the same Inspector General of Police. About the time he assumed office substantially as a substantive IG. Read out all the challenges confronting that organization. For good reason, it is almost an impossibility to expect them to perform. Including, of course, that you cannot tell a man with a baton, that was how he metaphorically put it, to confront a daredevil armed robber with a sophisticated weapon.
Even though in the colonial days...
Are they making efforts to improve? Yes, they are. We are seeing those things. But we are saying that the reality on the ground
is
that we are all on our own security-wise in this country.